I sat on the cold hardwood floor of my parents' living room, surrounded by torn wrapping paper and the fake pine scent of a perfect Christmas morning. My sister Chelsea twirled a set of shiny BMW keys, the metal catching the twinkling lights from the tree as she bounced around like a teenager instead of a 27-year-old woman. Meanwhile, in my lap, was my gift, a cheap plastic plant, still with the $1.99 price tag, and a tiny envelope with $2 bills inside. My parents smiled and said it was a good start for a future homeowner, a quiet way of telling me I was on my own. If you've ever felt like your place in the family was based on a price tag, you know exactly what this felt like. This story isn't about the car or the money. It's about what happens when you realize you've been fighting for a seat at a table you never truly belonged to. Before I dive into my story, I'd really appreciate it if you could let me know where you're watching from in the comments, and if you'd consider subscribing to my channel. It would mean the world to me and help me keep sharing more stories like this. Thank you so much for being here. I sat on the cold hardwood floor of my parents' Portland living room, surrounded by torn wrapping paper and the manufactured pine scent of Christmas morning. My sister Chelsea, at 27 years old, was twirling a set of shiny BMW keys with her manicured fingers, the metal catching the twinkling lights from the tree as she bounced on her toes like a teenager. "I can't believe it," she squealed. "My very own Beamer." My father, Richard, beamed at her with an unfiltered pride that felt like a physical absence to me. My mother, Laura, clasped her hands beneath her chin as if witnessing a miracle. The car sat in the driveway, a glossy white testament to parental devotion, complete with an enormous red bow that probably cost more than what they'd spent on my entire Christmas. Meanwhile, I stared at the object in my lap, a plastic piggy bank shaped like a cartoon character from a children's show I'd outgrown 25 years ago. The price tag they'd forgotten to remove read 1999s. "Open it, Iris," my mother urged. Two crisp $1 bills fluttered out. "It's the start of your future home fund, honey," my father announced with a dismissive wave. "You're always so responsible with money. Not like some people." He winked at Chelsea, who pretended to look offended. The silence stretched like taffy between us until my mother filled it. "Chelsea needs reliable transportation for her new graphic design clients. Those artsy types expect a certain image, you know." Chelsea dropped onto the couch beside me, her expensive perfume clouding my senses. "Don't worry, sis, I'll drive you around whenever you need." She patted my knee with patronizing gentleness. "Your little Toyota must be on its last legs by now. The Toyota that carried me through 7 hours of mountain passes yesterday. The Toyota I paid off myself 3 years ago. The Toyota that's more reliable than any relationship in this room." I couldn't breathe. 34 years of moments just like this one crystallized in my mind with perfect clarity. This wasn't an anomaly. It was the pattern of my entire life. Just this morning, I had carefully wrapped their gifts, a leather briefcase for Dad that cost 2 weeks of my salary, the silver bracelet Mom had admired in a Seattle boutique window, the professional camera lens Chelsea had casually mentioned wanting. I'd rehearsed my announcement during the entire drive down from Seattle. Senior structural engineer, the promotion I'd earned through nights and weekends of extra work. I'd imagined their faces lighting up with pride, finally seeing me as something more than Chelsea's responsible older sister. "Excuse me," I managed, my voice sounding like it belonged to someone else. "Bathroom?" I walked, not ran, up the familiar stairs, past the wall of family photos where Chelsea's face dominated every frame. The bathroom door closed behind me with a soft click before I twisted the lock. My reflection stared back at me, eyes too dry, face too composed. I pressed my palms against the cold marble counter, waiting for tears that wouldn't come. The pressure built in my chest instead, like concrete hardening around my lungs. This is what dying feels like. I thought, not dramatic, just diminishing. The night stretched endlessly as I lay awake in my childhood bedroom, listening to Chelsea's laughter from downstairs. At 2:17 a.m. for me, I finally sat up. I packed quickly, taking only what mattered: the faded stuffed bear my grandmother gave me, the photo album from college, the small wooden box containing my first professional blueprint. The expensive gifts I'd given them stayed where they were. They were never about gratitude anyway. The house was silent as I carried my suitcase down the stairs. My house key lay cold in my palm for a moment before I placed it on the kitchen counter beside the coffee maker that would brew in 3 hours. They had made their choice. Now I was making mine. Streetlights blurred into watery halos as I navigated empty highways. The dashboard clock read 3:42 a. Christmas morning. My windshield wipers battled against thickening snow while Bing Crosby crooned about white Christmases from the radio. I twisted the volume knob until his voice faded to silence. "Have yourself a merry little Christmas," I whispered to the empty passenger seat, my voice breaking on the word merry. The irony burned like acid. A semi-truck passed, spraying slush across my windshield. For 3 terrifying seconds, I drove blind. My hands shook against the steering wheel as memories flooded faster than the wipers could clear them away. 5th birthday Chelsea's princess party with pony rides and a 3-tier castle cake. My celebration the following year, a grocery store sheet cake. 2 friends from kindergarten. "You're more independent," Dad had explained when I asked why. Independent. Their code for, "You don't need us." High school graduation valedictorian. Empty seats in the family section because Chelsea's junior varsity soccer team had an away game. "We'll watch the recording," Mom promised. The VHS tape sat unwrapped on my dresser until I left for college. "You always succeed without our help," Mom said. Without help. Their code for, "You're on your own." College years flashed before me. I worked 25 hours weekly at the campus bookstore and cafeteria, while Chelsea explored artistic inspiration across Europe on our parents' dime. "You've always known exactly who you are," Dad insisted during one of our rare phone calls. "Known who I am," their code for, "You don't deserve exploration." My phone rang. Not family this time. Monica Perez, my college roommate turned lifelong friend. "Where are you?" Her voice, warm and worried, filled the car through Bluetooth. "Somewhere in southern Oregon. Heading south. To where? I don't know." The line went quiet for a moment. Then, "Come to San Francisco. Stay with me. Family doesn't treat family like this." The words cracked something open inside me. Help. Such a simple concept, yet foreign to my experience. "Okay," I whispered, surprising myself. "Text me your location every hour. Drive safe. I'm making up the guest room." The call ended. By 7:30 a.m., I crossed the California state line. My phone screen showed 17 missed calls, 32 text messages with deliberate motions. I turned off notifications from Mom, Dad, and Chelsea. The silence felt weightier than any accusation. My stomach growled, reminding me I hadn't eaten since yesterday's Christmas Eve dinner. A small roadside diner appeared ahead, its neon open sign a beacon in the morning light. I pulled into the nearly empty parking lot. Inside, the warmth enveloped me like an embrace. An older waitress with silver-streaked hair approached with a coffee pot. "Rough night?" she asked. Her name tag read, Gloria. "Rough life," I muttered. Gloria didn't flinch. "Honey, I've been serving coffee for 40 years. I know heartbreak when I see it. Family or boyfriend." "Family?" She nodded, sliding a menu toward me. "Blood makes you related. Love and respect make you family." Her weathered hand rested briefly on mine. I ordered the special and wrapped my hands around the coffee mug. 3 weeks later, my phone vibrated against the nightstand for the 13th time this morning. Dad's number. Again. Iris Elizabeth Collins. Dad's latest voicemail thundered through the speaker. If you don't return this car immediately, I'll report it stolen. This childish behavior has gone on long enough. My Toyota. I crushed the throw pillow against my stomach, swallowing the acid that rose in my throat. Mom's message followed. The doctor says my blood pressure is dangerously high because of the stress you're causing. Is that what you want? For me to end up in the hospital because you're being selfish? I deleted them both without responding. My temporary sanctuary in Monica's spare bedroom felt both foreign and familiar. On the dresser, my laptop displayed an email I'd rewritten 14 times. Dear Mr. Sanderson, I'm writing to formally request a transfer to the San Francisco office, effective immediately. My finger clicked send before I could reconsider. 3 hours later, the approval arrived in my inbox. You got it. Monica appeared in the doorway, reading my expression. I start Monday. I confirmed. Now I just need to find a place. I start Monday. Monica grinned. Already called Andrea from book club. She manages apartments in the Mission District, rent control, safe building, 20-minute walk to your new office. You didn't have to. I wanted to. She cut me off, dropping onto the bed beside me. Friends help friends. No strings attached. A novel concept for you. I know. The words hit their mark. The tears I'd been holding back for 3 weeks threatened to break through. I made you an appointment too, she added, sliding a business card onto my laptop. Dr. Levine, Tuesday at 4. The card read, Elaine Levine, PhD, family therapy. I'm not crazy, I whispered. No. Monica agreed. But you've been carrying something heavy for a very long time. It might help to put it down somewhere safe. On Tuesday afternoon, the therapist's office smelled like lemon furniture polish and old books. Dr. Levine wore reading glasses on a beaded chain. She didn't rush to fill silences. Favoritism, I finally said. The word hung between us like a newly discovered planet. My entire life. And how did that make you feel? She asked. Like I was worth exactly $2? I answered. 6 months after Christmas, my apartment had transformed. Pottery lined the windowsills, each piece more refined than the last. A proper bed had replaced the futon. The promotion to senior project manager came with a raise that ended any lingering financial anxiety. On my bookshelf sat the plastic piggy bank. I'd filled it with crisp $2 bills, one for each week of freedom. Not as punishment, but as a reminder. Sometimes the smallest betrayals reveal the largest truths. The first video call came 4 weeks after Christmas. I answered on the third ring, steeling myself against the familiar surge of guilt their faces triggered. Where have you been? Dad demanded immediately, his face filling the screen, red with indignation. Your mother has been worried sick. San Francisco. I answered calmly. I transferred offices. Without discussing it with us first, Mom interjected, pushing into the frame. How could you be so inconsiderate? The old pole tugged at my chest. Apologize, placate, make it right. But Dr. Levine's words echoed. Your feelings are valid. Their reactions belong to them, not you. I needed space, I said instead. Space from what? Dad barked. From feeling invisible, I replied, surprised by the steadiness in my voice. From trying to earn love that should have been freely given. Mom's tears flowed instantly. Right on cue. How can you say such hurtful things? We've always loved you both the same. I'm not responsible for your feelings anymore, I told her. The words felt like stones I'd been carrying in my mouth for years, finally released. I'm responsible for mine. Dad slammed his palm against the table. This conversation is over until you're ready to apologize. Then I guess we're done talking, I answered, and ended the call. In the days to come, The rumors reached me through LinkedIn messages and texts from former coworkers. According to family lore, I'd had a mental breakdown. Chelsea's Instagram showed her looking concerned in tastefully filtered photos, captioned with vague references to family heartbreak. My new coworkers knew nothing of this narrative. They saw only my work, the precision of my calculations, the innovation in my designs. My therapy group met Wednesday evenings in a church basement that smelled of coffee and old hymnals. Family doesn't get a pass just because they're family, said Raymond, a 60-year-old accountant who hadn't spoken to his brother in 20 years. Love without respect isn't love. It's possession. His words settled in my chest like truth. A month later, the ivory envelope sat on my kitchen counter like a landmine. Cousin Vanessa's wedding invitation. My name in swooping calligraphy. Iris Collins. No +1, just me. Expected to return to the fold unaccompanied. So, what are you thinking? Dr. Veer Winters asked. I'm going. Her eyebrows rose slightly. On my terms, I added quickly. I've booked a room at the Hilton 4 blocks from the venue. 7 months of therapy had taught me the vocabulary of self-protection. The boundary is the message. Friday arrived with San Francisco fog that burned away as my plane took off. My heartbeat quickened as we began our descent into Portland. I stood on the sidewalk, touching the smooth stone pendant Monica had given me before I left. Strength isn't about not feeling fear, she'd said. It's about feeling it and walking forward anyway. I straightened my shoulders and pulled open the heavy wooden door. Conversations halted mid-sentence. Heads turned. My mother's hand flew to her throat. My father's drink paused halfway to his lips. I had changed. This woman, in tailored black pants, an emerald silk blouse, and heels that announced each step with authority, was solid, present. Chelsea approached first. You look amazing, she said, embracing me briefly. Thank you. I stepped back, maintaining the space between us. How's the BMW treating you? Her eyes darted away. I, had to trade it in, got a Honda, more practical, beyond her shoulder. I spotted my parents huddled with Aunt Martha. Mother dabbed at her eyes with a cocktail napkin. Father's shoulders slumped forward in a posture I'd never seen before. Cousin Tara appeared at my elbow. God, am I glad you're here? She whispered. You wouldn't believe the drama since Christmas. Oh, your parents are selling the house. Medical bills, they say. But everyone knows they've been floating Chelsea for years. Reality finally caught up. Before I could respond, a waiter circulated with champagne. I took a glass, watching the bubbles rise and burst against the surface, just like the family stories. What rises eventually pops. Uncle Simon approached. You're looking well. Iris, that job in San Francisco must agree with you. Senior project manager now, I said. His eyes widened. No kidding, that's wonderful. More relatives orbited toward me. Cousin Michael confessed he always noticed how differently I was treated. Aunt Martha hugged me too tightly, whispering, Your father lost his job 3 months ago. Your mother's on anxiety medication. My father cornered me during cocktail hour. Family sticks together? Iris? His voice carried the familiar weight of authority, but something essential had crumbled beneath it. No matter what. Does it? Dad? I met his gaze without flinching. Or do some family members stick together while others get pushed aside? His face reddened. We've always supported you? $2 in a piggy bank? The words came out softer than I expected. That was your definition of support. He opened his mouth, closed it, then walked away. In the ladies' room, my mother appeared beside me at the sink. We miss you so much, she said, reaching for my hand. I continued washing my hands. I miss who I thought you were, too. back in the main room. Chelsea pulled me onto the terrace. The BMW got repossessed, she blurted out. I'm drowning in debt. Design clients dried up. Dad can't help anymore. Her voice cracked. I don't know how to do this, Iris. I never learned how to stand on my own. That sounds really hard. Chelsea, I felt compassion without responsibility. I'm sorry you're going through that. Her eyes widened slightly at my response. Compassion without rescue. I can help make a budget, I offered. But I can't fix this for you. The next day, I stood in the bridal suite. Iris, your parents are looking for you, Aunt Martha whispered. They're in the library. Said it's important. I knew this moment was coming. The library door felt heavier than physics should allow. As I pushed it open, Mom sat ramrod straight in a high-backed chair. Dad paced by the fireplace. Chelsea stood by the window. Iris, thank God. Mom rose, arms outstretched. We need to talk as a family. I remained in the doorway. The ceremony starts in 40 minutes. Sit down, Iris. Dad gestured, a staged intervention. This can't wait any longer. I'm sorry to hear about your job. Dad and Mom, I'm glad you're getting help. Their faces registered confusion. Didn't you hear what we said? Chelsea's voice rose. They're selling the house because of you. No, they're selling the house because of choices they made long before I left. I removed a leather-bound photo album from my purse. I opened it across my lap. The first page showed 2 birthday parties side by side, Chelsea's elaborate princess theme, and my party with a grocery store cake. Remember these? This is ridiculous. We always treated you girls equally. Dad said. I pulled out a folder of bank statements. My student loans, $67,000 that I'm still paying. Chelsea's education, fully funded. Chelsea shifted uncomfortably. That's not fair. You chose engineering. It was my passion. I corrected her. The difference is, my passion wasn't considered worth investing in. We always knew you'd be fine. Dad finally said, You were always so capable. There it was, the truth behind decades of disparity. Being capable doesn't mean I deserved less love. My voice remained steady. Being responsible didn't mean I should carry everyone else's burdens. Mom collapsed into genuine, not manipulative, tears. We never meant to hurt you. Intent doesn't erase impact. I reached into my purse one final time. The plastic piggy bank made a hollow sound as I placed it on the coffee table. Dozens of crisp $2 bills spilled out. I've saved a $2 bill for every week since Christmas, I explained. This isn't about money. It's about what you thought I was worth. The moment had been witnessed. My story was now my own to write, and I was excited for the next chapter. The $2 bills in my apartment piggy bank were not a symbol of resentment, but a constant, gentle reminder of my liberation.